Hey, so welcome to the shop. Hopefully you can hear me pretty well. We're in the fabrication shop. Normally I would have shot this at home when it was a little bit quieter, but it was really hot. I want to spend all my time inside when I'm at home. So basically going to take this time while everyone's at lunch to do my video really quick. We're going to talk about Oxy Acetylene cutting. Basically what that comprises breaking it down and speaking to that. Don't know exactly where I'm going to head off with that. So in dealing with Oxy Acetylene, you got to start off with your safety equipment. So you're going to want a pair of goggles or a mask with a grinding setting. Then you're going to want a pair of gloves, a good pair of leather gloves. They could be insulated or uninsulated, depending on your comfort and how you want to handle things. The other thing is you want the appropriate tips. I know in this picture I have this showing a welding tip and a cutting tip. And one thing that we don't have listed in the picture is a striker. So, getting started, Oxy Acetylene. So oxygen and acetylene, that's these tanks. Acetylene is the fuel that basically causes the burning, and then you apply oxygen to that to refine the burn and get it to a point. Also, the oxygen helps push the heat and the gases in your cut. We're going to start and we're going to talk about the tip. Now, this particular tip, there are different tip sizes. So we'll show here a little bit closer up. There are different tip sizes. I'll have a chart that I'll put right after this. And each tip will cut with a corresponding thickness of metal. Now, some of the tips you can cut a little bit thicker by adding a little bit more fuel and oxygen to it, get more power out of it for your cut. But each tip is set specifically to a specific thickness. Because if you're trying to use a larger tip and you're trying to cut a thinner metal, you're just going to blow right through the metal. That's like cutting a piece of paper with a chainsaw instead of scissors. So basically a finer tip for a finer cut. You got to match it accordingly. Now, basically when you start off with this acetylene and oxygen, once you got it burning and you refine the flame down to the right point, it's going to be burning at approximately 5,800 degrees, which is quite a bit. So you have a pretty hot flame. That's the heat that you're dealing with for that. So you want to be constantly aware of everything that's going on around you. You want people to be aware of you and what you're doing as well for safety reasons. So keep that in mind, that you're dealing with a 5,800 degree flame. Now, when you're starting off, one of the things you want to do is you want to make sure that your hose is intact. You want to inspect your equipment before use, like anything you do in the shop. Inspect the equipment, especially because other people are using this equipment. I don't know what kind of condition they left it in or what kind of people they are, so I inspect it. You don't want holes and things. Your hose is the most worn out thing on there, so you want to keep that intact. When you start off, you want to open the oxygen tank all the way up and until the valve is completely open and is set back. With the Oxy Acetylene, you want to just open it just a little bit, because if there is a problem, you want to be able to shut it off really quickly. Now, with the oxygen, we'll show it right here. You're going to set the oxygen to about 20 psi. That's a good average for this cutting. You can go higher, you can go lower, depending on the thickness. With the acetylene, you want to set the acetylene somewhere between 5 and 8, because at 15 psi, it's more combustible. It's a lot more dangerous. So you want to stay under 15 psi, so between 5 and 8 psi, good cutting pressure. And then what you want to do is with your torch, you have oxygen and acetylene. You want to open the oxygen all the way up. You want this valve closed. You want to open this just a little bit, not too little, but enough that there's enough acetylene coming out. You spark it. That'll ignite the flame. You use this to adjust the flow of your oxygen, which will then adjust your flame. We'll show that right here in the video as we adjust the flame. Now, when I showed earlier the tips, there are little holes that go around the center hole. These are the preheat flame. What you're seeing, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there will be a blue flame coming out of those holes. That's your preheat flame. That's what you're looking to refine. So you refine that down so that there's just a point at the preheat flame and a small feathering on the flame further out. Then you want to hit the nozzle. Depress the lever and to pump the oxygen through, and then you want to finish refining that flame down. That's where you want the cutting to be. That's how you want the setup to be for your cutting. So when you start cutting, one of the things I'm going to show here's what you don't want to do when you start cutting is you don't want to just have a piece of metal sticking out and you're trying to cut it. What you want to do is, like right here, have the metal on the table all the way. Get yourself a good stance, a good brace. Use your bone structure. Lean in if you have to. Lean in on the table. That way you can do your cut. You can get a straighter cut. You can control the torch better. You can control your cutting better. And this will give you a great stance. Now, what will happen is while you're cutting, there is what's called slag, basically bits of oxidized metal that will shoot off and spark out. Sometimes you'll get a slag buildup behind your cut, which kind of re-welds the cut into place. It's really loose. It's really not that together. But if you're cutting really well, you can usually blow that off. You'll have a little bit. It's not to worry. But if you're cutting wrong, you're going to start pushing your puddle back behind, so you'll get a molten metal pushing back into your cut, and that will re-weld your cut solid. So you want to get the right speed, not too slow, not too fast. You find that right speed and every thickness of metal is going to be a different speed. So once you get that managed, you'll be able to do a nice, clean, easy cut. Now when you're cutting, you're basically, this cut is like a oxidizing cut. You're applying a lot of oxygen to the metal and heat to start an oxidation of the metal, and then it'll start to melt and break down, and then you can do your cut. So that's basically cutting with Oxy Acetylene. There's also welding with Oxy Acetylene. This will include a different tip and basically do different styles, but we'll get into that in some other videos. So Oxy Acetylene cutting.